I was speaking to someone on the phone a little earlier, and we came to the discussion, have you actually ever known anyone that's actually single, where you actually know they're actually single and not a single parent, or had too many people? There is some names. I mean, there's loads and loads of people that I could think of that could be single, but I don't know for sure if we go back in the past, but not in modern times. But again, that's not guaranteed, and all those people that I thought were single in the past are all in relationships. But we go to 3 specific people in recent times, in the last 10 years. They would be Gemma Ferguson. However, she's been in a relationship, but I don't know if she's single, I don't know if she, or anything like that. Because I don't have a clue. But it appears that she is. That's all I can say. But even if she is, she doesn't like me, and that's through. And she's going into negative attraction as well. And if we go back 10 years ago, just under, a couple of people my age or a little bit older said they're actually shocked that I could fancy this Gemma. 10 years later, she tells me I'm sick if I look at people that are basic looking, basically. Because these people that told me this 10 years ago told me that Gemma's not actually one of the better looking types of people. But if you look in today's community, you're known as a sicko if you look at anything that's basic. Or pizza face, you've got to go with these really disgusting looking zombie type faces today. It's all different. And she's got me down as a sicko because I won't fancy the negative type of what I call the Lisa Pike type, who's an old school friend I used to know. I don't like insulting her, but I've got to use some term of the type I don't like. The other person is Karen. She was in a relationship with a bloke in his 40s at Bridgewater College from when she was 17, and I couldn't go with her because of that, and which meant she wasn't single. But realistically, if it wasn't for that specific time where she got in a relationship with the staff worker at Bridgewater College, then I could have gone with her. Yeah, she was single. But I didn't stay at the college too long because people were starting on me big time back in the 1997, 1998, 99, I can't remember really what year it is, but it's going back. And finally, the other person is, she has been in a relationship, but she appeared to be single in recent times up to about 10 years ago. However, that's not guaranteed. Her name could be Heather, Helen, or Alicia. She worked in Boots, and she was working in there when I was ordering Jungle CDs back in just after the mid-1990s from the W.H. Smith catalogue at Bridgewater. And also she worked in Boots at Burnham-on-Sea. So she has a ring on her finger, but I've never seen her with anybody, so it's a possibility, but I can't guarantee that 100%. So all 3 of them, it's not guaranteed that they've ever been single, but is a possibility. So the ones that I can say that have been single is 2004 and before. After 2004, nothing can be guaranteed single, even if people assume, or you can assume they've been single, look single. There's never been anybody after 2004 that I've come across that I can guarantee 100% is single and not a single parent out of everybody I've ever known. 2004 there was, and it's the very last person that was single that I actually didn't know her that well. I knew her very slightly, but enemies turned her against me in that time period because there was a music track called Scooter which was twisted against me in the mainstream media, like a pop club tune type track, and it caused my enemies to turn this Maria against me, and she got into a relationship with a younger chap who looked like the person that is in the Harry Potter film, the boy in the Harry Potter film. So this Maria was just a couple of years younger than me, a few years younger. But not only that, but in 2003 they upped the age of consent for sex from 16 to 18 before dropping it back down to 16 later on, in the time period of where they messed up a few people to try and turn people against me to stop me getting sex back in those days. Before that time there have been single people before 2004, but they were hanging about with these happy hardcore idiots back at that time, and these people you didn't want to mess about with, because these people just lash out, punch you, knife you, smash you in, and fucking start shouting and all the rest of it, because that's the type that we're hanging about with these younger people. And going back in those days, these people weren't exactly in today's, even though they were gangsters back then, today they'd be known as sick bastards, because they were going with teenagers, girls aged 11, and I mean they were like they're 14, 15, up to 18, some were as high as 25, and in rare cases you had people as old as 30 and in their high 30s. I don't think it went any higher than that, but high 30s was the maximum. But you did have people, and they were hanging around in the same groups, and they were all shagging each other, even though those people were as young as 8, 9 or whatever. But that's the way people were in the gangster community back in that time. And I didn't socialise with these types of people because it's not safe. So there's a possibility these people that were 8 or 9 went with people in the high 30s. Anyway, I'm in my 40s, not in my 30s, but the highest would have been the high 30s out of the oldest people I would have seen in these happy hardcore thug group types back in those years. So obviously everyone sort of hated me. If we go back to this Karen, obviously I mentioned, she got in a relationship with one of the staff workers at Bridgewater College. She was 17 and the staff worker's in his early 40s, roughly my age, what I am today in fact. But back then it wasn't seen as anything wrong, or it wasn't seen as being strange or weird or anything like that. Because we're in a different time, things are looked at differently. And if there's more than a couple of years in age, when it comes to the dry and sarcastic or the serious type people community, people are a little bit more unhappy about it. But that's only because the media's twisted everyone's mind, and they've upped the age from 16 to 18, then to 21, and then to 25 with the alcohol and buying cigarettes. So that's another thing that's done it as well. And also, as I said like just now, they moved the age of consent from 16 to 18 for a short period of time, but unfortunately they chose a time period which messed it up for me going with Susan and Maria. So yeah, that's not good. But at that time I was also walking into enemies and rough people, as I always have done right through my childhood, and always had trouble. But I didn't realise it was known as setups or being caused until we reached the year 2005, when it clicked that things are being set up and it wasn't coincidence. And then it just got worse and nastier as setups as we get today. So that's that. So going back to the question, what's the single people that I've guaranteed that have been single that I've known in my life, or kind of known in my life? Going right from the school days, basically. Well, we'll start at a realistic age. So we'll say Lisa Pike, firstly. When she was 15, she was single, but obviously she wasn't my type, and obviously she preferred another person in that school called Daniel, and she was more into the interests of what Daniel Dennis was into, and was more into the soaps, celebrity, the club life type of things. She wasn't much into the countryside or that sort of stuff. In actual fact, she wasn't keen on much of my interests right through, and obviously for looks and appearance and stuff like that, I'm not keen on her appearance. I mean, for the people that are not looking for the sexual type of person, and they're just looking for a friendship or a relationship that doesn't involve sex or whatever, then she'd be perfect for that type of person. And she does have someone now, because she was living at Somerton. She moved from Somerton to Taunton, and now she lives in Bridgewater. She works in an old people's home, so she's a very caring, she is a very friendly lady. She doesn't look that great, but you know, her personality is really nice and friendly. She is a bit dry and sarcastic, so it's slightly different to the personality I have, but she's definitely a nice person. However, I haven't seen her since near enough school days, apart from one time in street where she put the umbrella over me when it was raining and took the water on me and walked past laughing. That's the last time I actually seen her. Though I think she was doing that just as a gesture possibly, or I don't know what the reason is, but I didn't get too offended by it because it was probably an off day even. So that's that. Then after that, you're looking at Xenia and Kaylee, who were visitors that went to my cousin's place when I was living in Willavington, and I was visiting them on a regular basis, but that didn't last long either. And there's another person with dark brown hair, looks very similar to the girl singer on Merry Christmas Mr. Bean, the one in the middle with the rounded sort of dark hair around it, slightly like that, but different, not so long in the face, slightly different appearance in the face, sexual looking, and obviously a bit older because that was only a girl in the actual picture, but she had a sort of more smooth appearance, whereas she was about the same age as me at that time, but I couldn't go with her, although she was single, because she came into a lot of money. She won a lot of money, some form of lottery money or something like that, and the person that she got in a relationship meant she moved from the area where I used to live, and she came into big money and went with a celebrity type guy, not a well-known celebrity, and I can't remember the name of this person, but that's who she got in a relationship with, when just as we were about to talk and get to know each other. Unfortunately, she won this money, and that was the end of that. And nobody saw her again. Nobody knew where she went. That was including the other people. And then there was a similar incident with another lady as well, but this lady was not I didn't really know her as well, and she was a little bit older than me at that time, but she was a sexual type again. So that's that. Then obviously, as I mentioned, we then go to the days of college, where I knew this, what you call it, I've forgotten her name again, what was it, Karen, which I've mentioned, and then obviously there was, who else, trying to think what, the ones I just mentioned, the Gemma, which is through, they're all through, obviously, and I've never even, Sadie Dando's friends, they were, they're adults now, even though those are single parents, so basically, and she's like 15, 16 years younger than me, so, it's very different the way things are changed and the way people are, and, everyone's in a relationship, and because there's a smartphone or mobile network from 2004 onwards, it means that nobody will add you or accept you as friendship on a dating site or whatever, unless they actually know you in person, or have had you. They say you've got to know the person, and you've got to know the person for at least 10 years before they get to like you or goes into a relationship or stuff like that, which is making it very difficult, because it's not like it was going back many years ago. But I was too unlucky to find anyone back in those times. It was too dangerous to socialise. People were getting angry with me, shouting at me, threatening me with knives, trying to smash a bottle across my head, threatening me to chase me and whatever. I even threatened other people that are around me who are older than me and much more muscular than me at the same time on some occasions. So all these situations have had to be avoided, and that's why I don't have anyone. And then obviously the mentally disabled community, or the people I knew at school, where there were some single to some extent, but enemies messed that up, or they were accusing me of this and that with them, so in the end they managed to defeat me. And there was times going back before 2006, 2007, where enemies were actually paying people to turn against me, which I didn't expect that to occur. I don't know why that's occurred and why they were doing that, but they were actually paying people or friends I had to turn against me lump money sums from some organisation or authority. So it sounds like I'm making it up, but I'm not. It is actually true. So I lost a load of friends that way as well, and obviously money comes first, so I don't know what the reason is and why they did it, but it did take place. But that suddenly stopped. They didn't stop doing it around about 2008, 2009. That was unheard of. But it might have been going on behind my back, but they were saying it as threats, or shouting it as threats, saying we got money for turning against you or whatever. But it was in the time period before I had my digital audio recording device on digital format. But I did have the cassette tapes. However, I didn't manage to record that specific thing when it was shouted. So that answers the question of why I've never been in a sexual relationship or never found anyone. And then as time goes on, I spent 10 grand on dating sites, which includes the costs of going to London on one occasion in 2015, and also with my mum, because I didn't want to go on my own, because I didn't really know the area, confusion and whatever. And that includes like meeting dating places, but they've all closed down, you see, because they can't get the members. So these speed dating places like in Bristol, no one's doing it anymore because nobody's single, and that's even 10 years ago. Anyway, got dribbling but bow whistles outside. So the only sex I've basically had is being sexually abused as a child, and that's the best it gets. But at the same time, being nailed as a rapist, and a woman beater and a child beater, and a woman rapist and a child rapist, to a point where everyone's getting nasty, threatening to kill me, to knife me down, inject me with HIV, to rip my fucking arms and legs off, to smash me up, to pour petrol over me and set me alight, and to smash my brains out, to shoot me dead, to break in, make your life a misery, make misery, to break you, to take your fucking life apart, to keep on giving you hell, or keep calling me a child rapist, keep on giving you hell and fucking stuff like that, persistently, as long. And then you've got all the threats of mistaking me as Savannah, including that. In 2022, it's the worst direct threat year in my life. Anything from 40 to 140, and on some days 200 threats per day, almost every single day of 2022. And also, it's the same amount of people that were photographing me, mostly mistaking me as Savannah, of that specific year as well. Just almost the same amount of people as the threats that were photographing me with their smartphone to get someone to attack me or to claim that I'm this person or whatever. And also, not only that, but I was coughed and sneezed at almost that amount of times as well per day of that specific year. But it did become less frequent in the month of August onwards, towards the end of 2022, where it went down to about 20 a day, and some days 40, and a little bit less, but there were still days where it was pretty bad. So that's that. And then obviously you've got to include that organised force that's against me 24/7 to try and rip me to pieces, or claim this or claim that, like overhanging trailers to rip my legs off, wording on verticals to make a nasty suggestion, always sexual, always aggressive. Then obviously you've got police sirens that are passing, like it is now, but more recently it's been done in a way to say, you're being shot dead, or you're a child rapist, Justin, or you raped her, Justin, and stuff like that, even though I've never had sex with anyone or raped any children or raped any women. But there's nothing you can do when you're violating, outnumbered by many people, most mistaking me as Savannah. But more recently, my name's coming in, my real name, Justin's coming in, but coming back at me with the same sort of information content as the Savannah threats, like claiming I play a guitar when I don't play guitar music and don't have a guitar and not into that sort of music, to claiming I worked in a play school and raped children when I've never had qualifications or never worked in a play school. Two other things as well, like juggling balls, going to bars, but in the term of playing a guitar, or boasting, laughing with people, when I don't even do that. I mean, I've gone to a bar in recent times with one of the neighbours or whatever, but I don't go around in the way that they're explaining these threats, and they've been saying I've been doing it for years. So there's a lot of problems that have been going on. And just on the estate tonight, just outside my place, there's a load of threats to say you're being smashed and being burgled, being injected HIV, being knifed down, that you're a child rapist. And my real name, Justin's being mentioned quite frequently, so it's getting worse outside as well. But in 2023 it was quite calm. But New Year's Eve 2022 into 2023 was extremely nasty. I was actually speaking to a Ukrainian woman who was aged 25, but she actually asked me if I was single, but she didn't know what my age was. And when I told her, roughly in the time period we went into the countdown in the UK to New Year's Day 2023, she started saying I was a sick cunt and started to get nasty and saying that you're too old and that you need to go with an old bag and not someone that's not sexual and stuff like that. Then I find out that Putin starts war with the Ukraine shortly after that. I mean, it could have been going on before that time, but it was that time period. But before I actually heard it myself, I didn't know about that until after that incident of this Ukrainian woman violating me on messaging me, trying to see if I was single or not. on the internet. When we went into New Year's Eve into New Year's Day of 2023 into 2024, believe it or not, there wasn't a single threat this year aimed at me. However, at 11:30 p.m, it wasn't very good, and there was a bit of shouting outside to knife me down and to take my life, but that's about it. So I'll leave it there on that subject. Right, obviously today has been quite a bad day because there's been about 400 loud bites tied to an erection, time wanking and coming, tied to every sexual impulse. You know, you're desperate for a fuck and you get that sort of impulse where your willy goes up. Well, obviously I don't like talking about this sort of thing, and going back 10, 15 years ago I wouldn't even mention this on the internet, but it's got so bad and it's pissed me off so much that I've actually mentioned this quite frequently in modern times. This began in 2008 when I first noticed it. There's a possibility it was going on before that, but I didn't take much notice. It was in the time period that they had the Fathers for Justice event and had the scaffolding up around my place, where they broke the CCTV camera, so they had it down, but it took them 6 months to put the other one up, by the way, and where they had the Palace nightclub on extended nights, and the the pub next to me, the Squib pub. That they were hoping that they could get someone to kill me, or someone climbing the building, you know, through the scaffolding or whatever, hoping that, because the lighting system was down in my place as well at the time all this was occurring. But because the rough people were battling against the rough people, it wasn't one-sided like it is today. People knew that people were making stuff up on sexuality. I mean, it wasn't good because I was getting threats, loads and loads, but it wasn't one-sided like it is today. Today is completely one-sided. Back in those days it was mixed-sided. Back in 2008 area, sorry. So that's just one incident. There's been clairvoyant readings that have gone through. They've closed shops, taken bus services off, or the government have designed a day where they need to close everything for a specific event. And they've also messed up every, even the, going back to 2011, I mentioned on a utility called Facebook, internet social media, that clairvoyant said I'm going to get a partner and this could be someone I kind of know at North Beverton Carnival. And I put that on Facebook, everyone were looking at it at that time. And when the night came when that went on, there was a fuel explosion on the M5 the day before, and then obviously they took it off and it never existed. So the clairvoyant was wrong. We go back 15, how many years ago? No, more than that now. Just over 15 years ago I had a past life clairvoyant reading that said my last life was very bad as a female, and I died as a young woman in my early 20s, and that I was sexually abused as a child in my last life, and she was hoping that this life would be much better. But unfortunately it got worse and not better. And when I died in my previous life it was tragically. But the problem is, she mentioned sexually abused, she actually put that clearly. Well, that's happened in this life, and I've not had anyone in this life, so what happens when I'm born again in my next life? You know, it raises a question, doesn't it? And as far as threats and all the rest of it go, 2024, especially in the last 3 weeks, is turning out to be as nasty as 2022. Not so much in the earlier part of the year, but we are going into a situation, and today was very bad, so we're looking where the threats are getting as nasty as they've ever been in 2022 for direct threats. And I was chased twice in the start of June 2022 with a knife in Nine Springs in Yeovil. Shouted up, being mistaken as can't remember if it was Savannah or Liam, it was one of the two, and it got aggressive, got out of hand. So a couple of days later I got some USB sticks and discs I already did, like DVDs, of data containing 15 years of deep depression life story packs were put together, and I posted it to governments across the world, which cost me just under a tenner for the 3 places I posted it. One was Cranberry, the Australian government. The other was the Washington White House in America, in Pennsylvania. The third place was Russia in Moscow, the Kremlin. That was in 2022. That was just before June the 9th. And then on June the 9th, more trouble occurred, just before then. And even on the 9th, when I posted one to Alex Jones Infowars, conspiracy theorist in America, in Texas, someone went to start on me in the post office thinking I was surveilling, went to smash me out there, and it was someone that just arrived back from Glastonbury Festival. When it comes to Glastonbury Festival, I've never gone there, and it's not my sort of thing because it's not my sort of music. But it's worth mentioning that as well. These setups or control force that's around me has been going on for many years, but I first discovered it or first noticed it in 2005. However, walking into dangerous people or enemies or rough people or whatever, and people getting nasty with me, has been right through my whole childhood up until 2005 when I noticed that these setups were occurring. Then you had the animal voice sounds as well, and they're saying stuff like telling me to fuck people that raped me as a child, telling me I'm being knife dead, going to the fire of hell, and laughing if I fall and collapse or someone punches me or whatever, and then they go ha ha ha, or taking a piss when a loud bite to an erection occurs, or a lookalike to someone that raped me as a child time to an erection occurs, and that usually follows with a baby bounced about in a sling. Before 2018, I think it is, time to look like to someone who raped me as a child, time to an erection never occurred. So that's quite a new setup. Setups were down initially between 2014 to 2018-ish, but it's still been bad. I mean, there's about 2 years in a row where they got every single bike on the road timed to an erection, every single erection of that year. And I got a little bit annoyed by it, so I started reporting it to 10 Downing Street, the UK government, and then the police told me off for it, and we had a call from the government where I nearly had to go down to London. But I explained the issue, and I said at the time they came around, it happened when the police came around, and they decided, and they realised, and I didn't know what they wanted to see me about, and then they left it at that. But yeah, it's been a lot of things. So as I said before, the setup started to ease in late 2019. But as soon as we were in the lockdown period, it started to get nastier again. And when we came out the lockdown period, all setups are 4 times heavier than what they've ever been before, and 4 times plus nastier and more aggressive than it has been before. And the suggestion is a lot more menacing, with stuff that's been twisted. So, for example, they're accusing me of raping a boy that looks like myself as a child, and trying to rip me off and trying to go over hanging trailers, trying to cause movement control around me to try and either smash me up, destroy me, hammering a drain cover every drain cover goes over, timing someone to sneeze in my face, timing an enemy in my path, timing black and blue cars, or sexual and gun shaped or knife shaped, all sorts of mixtures of stuff. And when I say vehicle wording or names on vehicles or whatever, smash you to pieces, rubble smashing flatbed lorry, child Rakis van, child Leicester van, Rico van, RT Keywell, Birder lorry, Burden's lorry, Making a Kill t-shirt, knife you down gothic jumper, smash you to pieces, or whatever, what I just mentioned, just in time car, which is like a van that has a picture of a double bell alarm clock with just in time written in the middle of the alarm clock, and a cartoon character smashing the double bell clock, followed by a van that's like ripping you to pieces, paper shredder company, to anything like see you next life, trash cowboy, to make the suggestion we're ripping you to pieces in your next life, and that your days are outnumbered. That we've even had setups to say that we sliced your wrist with a creator god, I'm going to rip you to pieces until you're dead, basically. So these setups are not nice, and it's been going on since 2005, possibly before that time, but I didn't see it as setups before that time. I saw it as coincidence, but bad coincidences. It only became clear when the suggestion became so hard that I started to click onto it. And obviously these setups have forced me in different directions, stopped me getting anyone, taking the piss out of me, making the suggestion that I've raped people I've never raped. It goes on and on. So the battery went flat. Anyway, let's continue what I was saying. So this is daily, every single time I go out. You can't go out without this problem. There can be up to 20 plus pages on a good day on some days. I mean, you can go out any day. You can look at the window, go out the window, every time you go to the window there's a setup. Especially at my old place and the place before that. You couldn't even wash the windows without setups, even at 3 a.m. in the morning. No matter what you do. I mean, you can't go to the toilet without a loud bike time to a stretch. It's fixed, it's controlled, but There's nothing you can do about it. And they've obviously caused the creator god to fall against me, because obviously the animal sounds and stuff like that. And obviously since 2008, you got the issue with the loud bike issue, and they're twisting the music industry against me, claiming that I've raped girls as well. And where this Seven has done something wrong, they're making tracks to make the suggestion that they need to knife him down and kill him. Now, I don't know who this person is, but I'm mistaken as that person. So when they bring out a track like that, it's coming back at me. I mean, there's hundreds of incidents, and there's also paedophiles and child killers that being advertised on television, or lookalikes to me of those people that have killed children, that's being shown on the news or whatever, which is causing people to start trouble on me because I look like those people when I go out or whatever. And they're also doing away. The other battery went flat as well, unfortunately. It was only half charged, so I'm going to complete it on this battery. So basically, once we get through all that, like I said, they've done away with my music. They've done away with the original recordings and all the rest of it, so I don't really have my music. Then you've got to take into account all the other stuff and all the other problems that have occurred just this year in 2024. All my stuff was stored at a specific place where I was rented, where that's got broken into, and I've lost everything, which has caused me to lose all my music. And not only that, but whatever's causing a burning sensation within the building, because I've been getting burning problems. I mean, when I was at my old place, it's an eye problem, like a gritty, stinging eye. It feels like your eye's being forced open and outwards and very dry. And I had to camp because of it. But since I moved here, I haven't really had any problems until the beginning of February. There's been times where it's been bad, but that was the main time period when the burning was occurring. What is actually fucked up, in today's cost and money, £1,400 of dark ambient cryo chamber music discs. At the time I didn't pay as much as that, but that would be today's price, because I was buying it when it actually came out, sort of newly released from eBay, as an alternative music, because my other music, I already lost a lot of my other music anyway, and I've had money packs go missing since I've been in this place. And one of the staff accidentally melted my records when we went to turn the heating off in the summer of 2022, to try and cool the place down while she opened the doors and opened the windows, because the building was hot. But she didn't realise she turned it on, and it caused a lot of vinyl, old school jungle vinyl. So I lost a lot of music on Legend Records, Pesce's World of Music, the Anthill Mob 123 Adrian Blunt remix, the Alliance First Impressions, Reinforced Records, Legend Records, sorry. But it's been released on the acetate 10-inch, and it's also been on Enforcer 6. Reinforced Records, and released in 94, and the original I think was 93. And then obviously there's other tracks as well, like Nutty, One Off the Nut EP, Underwater Fireworks and Liquid of Array, and Intense, Paradox, Rugged Vinyl, Lee and Guanche Too Deep, which is one of my best tracks on Legend Records, and also The Execution, which is on Legendary Volume 1. So it's quite a few tracks. Rev P 1994, Making Ground Take Me Higher, Ragga Mix, which is a Photech record on Rude Boy Recordings. So I lost a lot of my music. I lost all this music. I mean, it's on YouTube, but the quality's crap. And any represses they do, they have to take it from a clean record. They can't take it from the original recording, because the original recordings went when these underground music companies went down, when the government enforced music restrictions and music laws and tightened them, and they couldn't reissue the music, and then it went into merchandise selling, and eventually they folded under and went under because they couldn't sell the music because people didn't want to jump up. Obviously today people go for the chart stuff, and then once they do that, they insult you, saying that you're supposed to listen to happy, jolly, good life, sexual music, or you're a sick bastard if you don't. And the only sort of music they want you into these days is country and western, rock and roll, hip-hop, rap, modern drum and bass, possibly, trap, club tunes, possibly house, and just basically the modern genres, basically. So that's that, and obviously you've got to think of all the other things. I've lost money as well, and many people, it's just been bad. But anyway, I'll leave it there on that documentary of the issue of why I've not had anyone, and why I've not known many people that have been single, whatever. There is one thing that's annoyed me when I had the break-in, that when my stuff was stored, is I had these blank M discs, because I like to record my music on a safe type of disc, and that was the main cost of whatever, out of whatever went, because of the new age stuff there. Jungle CDs, a couple of records, ones I bought, mixture of everything, just essential bits, even my clothes. So yeah, I was hitting the roof, and that happened in March of this year, 2024. So it's in the hands of the police at the moment, but they can't seem to be not being very helpful at this minute in time. And they sort of said you need to find a secure place if you store your stuff anyway. So it's like, or whatever. So the problem is you can't get those discs anymore. They're going up in price because they're discontinued, and they're the only sorts of blank discs I prefer to use, because they're a safe type of disc. Although you can't hide them outside or anything like that, because the weather will get to them like with any disc. They do last a long time if you were to keep them in here, possibly longer than the disc, a normal DVD or a CD. And I just find it the best way to store my stuff, and it's a clearer format because you've got the dye layer taken out and other bits and pieces, which makes the quality of the disc on the recording much clearer than a normal disc. Well, I used to buy these discs on the website called On Your Mic. Getting confused now. OnYourMDiscForever.com, but the website's gone down because they discontinued them, and it's partly connected to people in authority from organisations that are similar to the government, I guess, where they've put an end to those discs. Well, they relaunched them back in a much higher price, 4 times of what they were charging. They relaunched them again, verbatim relaunched them, but unfortunately in 2022 or 2023 they started that crap again, where they stopped them again. And then obviously the interfaces are changing as well, because I found out in recent times, that disc formats are dying out anyway. Even though they're dying out, I'd prefer to have some sort of disc like that to put my stuff on, even though they might not be playable properly, because you're not going to have the technology like that in a few years' time. So the other alternative is like hard drives, and USB sticks, hard drives in particular, because hard drives are a bit more secure today than what they used to be, and the data is a bit more substantial than what it would have been on, say, a hard drive that was made 15 years ago. So that's a bit of positive news. But anyway, I think I'll leave it there on the recording. I think basically I've completed everything I want to say. But finally, there is one thing. I'm 43 years of age, and everyone's moaning about my age, which I forgot to mention, by the way. So I'm being told to go with people twice the age of people that sexually abused me as a child at the age they would have been at the time it happened. This year, or late last year, I walked into a lady who looked uglier and older looking than someone who sexually abused me as a child, and was the age of about 30-ish, something like that. Even she told me I was a sick bastard for looking at her, just looking at her, and she looked basically like someone who raped me as a child. Also, Jesus Christ, assuming the story is true, that he had sex with Mary Magdalene, well, I'm known as a sick bastard, asking someone if they're single that is 5 years older than Jesus Christ when he died, let alone when he was in a relationship in his living life. Most of these people that start on me will give me shit in town, these bearded types people, these rough people, all of these people that give starting on me, calling me a rapist and threatening to smash me in and kill me or knife me or whatever, they've all been or are in relationships with these sexual types of people with smooth skin, a whole lot of them. So I'm not very happy about that, and they've made everybody a single mother as well. So that's worth mentioning. So obviously I don't take to these older types. I shouldn't be told to go with a stale old piece of shit, because that's what people say. You've got to go with a stale old piece of shit. You've got to go with a zombie face. You've got to go with a fucking person that looks like they're jumping out their grave. You've got to look at people that are really ugly. You've got to go with someone that's a single mother. with their children as grown up and children, you know, and adults now or whatever, that are married, you know, they just insult you and tell you that. So this is why I'm not in the very bestest of moods when it comes to sexuality. And then you've got to take into account that my life's going to worsen and worsen with more trouble on these specific grounds, so it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Eventually I'm going to end up retaliating and getting nasty and breaking the law, and it could go to a stage where I end up in jail with retaliations like criminal damage or graffiti or whatever it is that's to come, depending on how people treat me in the following days, because I won't stand for it anymore. And the fact I'm not going to get anywhere, because you can't get a prostitute or anything like that, because they only give blowjobs. And in modern times, since the coronavirus lockdowns, they tell you they only give you phone sex, and they've upped the price from something like £200 for a blowjob to £1,500 per hour for just a blowjob. They won't give you sex. Prostitutes don't do that these days. That all died out back in 2007 and before. But back at that time I wasn't looking for a prostitute. I don't look for prostitutes, I try and look for a proper relationship. But the time came where you weren't getting nothing at all, you get your aging, and then you had that slammed in your face. And also in that time period was when the time would allow bite to an erection anyway, so I don't know how my future's looking, because people moan about the age. I mean, you can't go to Christian places and ask if people are single. They're all married since they're a teenager. And obviously the other thing is, if you go to somewhere like the Jehovah's Witnesses where they sort of say Jesus can't help because he's not here anymore, they just say go to the Father, the Creator God. Ask him to help, and say it might not be possible in this life, you might have to do it in your next life or when they're resurrected and sort of stuff like that. So basically it's not good, is it? I mean, it's sexuality. Well, I read that. What was it that happened? I'm trying to think what happened. Right, it's gone out of my head what I was going to say, but what I will say, to keep a long story short, which I just mention it anyway, is 99.9% of all threats, all problems, all retaliations, or me getting in trouble for doing graffiti back in the days of when I was living at Bridgewater and West Street, 99.9% of all this is due to sexuality, and all the trouble that I get. 99.9% of people that have started on me right through my life, the whole lot is sexuality. So just says it all, doesn't it? And this time I really am ending the recording here. Thanks for listening, have a good day.